Yeah, a little bit of a break. Coming off a nice, well, not coming off, you're in the midst of a nice winning streak. Do you worry that this much time between games is a bad thing when you're playing well?
Yeah, it's just natural for coaches to worry. So, of course, I do. But I also think that this time of year is when you can really regain some benefits in terms of rest and recovery for your bodies. Because those guys have, what have we played? 27, 28 games, somewhere in there? 26, 7? Somewhere right in there. Their bodies have been beaten up quite a bit. So you want to spend a lot of time in the training room. You want to spend a lot of time in the weight room with our strength and conditioning staff. And again, not so much that you're getting bigger and stronger, that you're stretching and you're getting your body back to feeling as close to normal as it can, as you head into this final stretch.
Previewing this week, you got Middle. I think after they lost to you all, they're on like a 3-game win streak. What's going to have to change? Last game, you guys outscored them in the paint by 30 points. Is that going to be another precedent of establishing that interior game?
Yeah, I think moving forward for us, as fast as we play, we've got to make sure that we get the ball to the basket, whether we throw it into the post or we drive it into the lane, or however we get it there. So yeah, that's always going to be important for us. But Middle's playing well. They beat they had a comeback win against New Mexico State, and then obviously I haven't watched the UTEP game yet, but they beat them in double overtime. Those are two good basketball teams, and Middle was able to take care of business at home. And anytime you go into those rivalry games, just like I said when we played them here, your record goes out the window. And there's a lot to play for, and there's going to be a lot of people, in that arena wearing blue, and hopefully there'll be a lot of people in red that come down and support us, right? And try to offset their home environment. But it's a big week for us. But every game moving forward has huge ramifications in terms of seeding in the Conference USA tournament, and then vying for a league title.
Kind of touched on it a little bit on Saturday, but obviously before the New Mexico State game, you had Don who put up 24, 25 points in consecutive games, and then this past weekend, it's pretty even scoring all around the board, 5 guys in double digits, and 2 that were right there on that line, so potentially 7 that were in that double-digit range. Kind of one of the first kind of games we've seen, like kind of even scoring across the board from multiple different players. Obviously being able to see that you can get the ball into the paint, shoot the threes, get those mid-range jumpers, does that make kind of like the team, I guess, kind of come together, seem like you put anybody out there, anybody can score, we can score from anywhere?
Yeah, and I obviously like that model. Not that I don't want Don to get 20 a game, because it certainly makes my job easier when guys like Don get 20 a game. But I like to have a balanced, even scoring. And Christian Lander is a great example. Somebody asked me after the game about Christian. He went out, he had an injury, and the next guy jumped in, and Tegan Moore comes in, and now he's playing really well. It'll be announced later this afternoon at I want to say 1 o'clock that Tegan's freshman of the week. And he deserves to be freshman of the week. But, that's just the way the season unfolds, is that somebody gets hurt and somebody else steps up. And that's the good thing about, being able to recruit good kids and good players, because at the end of the day, there's a small part of each of them that wants to get 20 like Don every day. There just is. And if they didn't have that in them, right, they wouldn't probably be good players, because everybody has to have, especially those wired to score, has to have a degree of selfishness to them. But, when they put our team above their individual scoring or their individual numbers, that's when I believe that we have something really special going. And, Saturday was another good step. You think about earlier in the year, we were a lot more of a balanced scoring team. And, Don kind of jumped up there, which is great. But I prefer to have a lot of good players that can score the basketball on any given night. It just gives you a lot of different options.
I know you said you haven't looked at Middle's last game tape yet, but surely you heard that Justin Porter went 8 for 8 from three-point range, goes for 41. You already had the Jalen Jordan experience here, and Elias King obviously can hit threes too. They really seem like a dangerous team.
Absolutely. When you go dig into their numbers, I did do that last night. I dug into their numbers. When they shoot the ball well, and they're making 8 threes a game at home, that poses a problem, right? And our task obviously will be, we've been one of the better defensive teams at guarding the three-point line in the league. And our task obviously will be not to allow that to happen. And I thought for the most part, other than the Jordan kid, in the first game at our place, I thought that we defended Elias King pretty well and Porter pretty well. But, we did a very poor job on Jordan. So we've got to figure out a way to defend all those guys. It's a little bit like playing Liberty. They've got a lot of guys that can shoot the basketball. So, that's what we'll figure out this week.
Kind of going off of that, with only having one more midweek home game for the rest of the season, and then to finish out the regular season, you're on the road. Do you think that kind of helps being on the road for the remainder of the season, going into obviously the conference tournament, which is in a new place that you all haven't been before?
Lauren, I've never really thought about it that way, but I guess if we want to look at the positive, then we'll be prepared for Huntsville. I certainly, being, 13-1 at home in Diddle. I mean, I would rather play all my home games here, or all our games here. So, but no, I mean, I think in this league, you've got to protect your home court advantage. I mean, you've got to win at home, and then, we always talk about splitting on the road, but the games that we have left on the road are big games. I mean, Middle Tennessee, obviously that's a rivalry game, and going to Liberty, that's not going to be easy. So, I don't know. I never really thought about it in the terms that you did, but we'll use that as our Monday motivation. Let's use that as our Monday motivation.
I wanted to ask you about regular season championship too. I mean, obviously you guys are in contention for that, and with that comes seeding the tournament and a championship. But like with that NIT, I think this year didn't they change the format where they don't bring in conference champions? How much value do you see in a regular season championship?
I think the regular season championship should have the most value. I mean, that's the team that won the majority of the games against their peers in their league. I place a lot of value on the conference titles. I think that's really hard to do. Obviously, I've been a part of some championship programs, and I've been to a lot of NCAA tournaments, and we didn't win the league every year we went to the tournament. So I think that's really, really important. And then, like you said, I mean, if you can finish first or second in our league, then you're going to get a double bye in the tournament. And I think that those double byes in the conference tournament, those are always helpful, right? I mean, it's just resting your body more and more so that you're fresh. But I certainly am, our goals are obviously to win the league title and then to win the league tournament so that you can go to the NCAA tournament. But I am absolutely focused on winning our league title. I do think that it's very disappointing that the NIT is no longer taking the conference champion as a participant in their tournament. I think that basketball is wrong for that. I think the NIT is wrong for that, and I think it needs to be changed because you should be rewarded for going to for winning the conference title. And the fact of the matter is if we don't, I'm knock on wood here, if we win the league and don't win the tournament, or we're not going to the NCAA tournament, chances are we're not going to the NIT. Well, we're not going to the CBI or the CIT. We're not doing it. The administration has already said that, hey, that we're NCAA or we're NIT, and that's where we're at. And
You guys have had that conversation?
I've already had that conversation. Yes. Our athletic administration has made that decision. So it is what it is, guys. Let's win the league title and let's win the tournament and let's go to the NCAA tournament. But not to get too high on my soapbox, I'm really disappointed in that decision with the NIT.
Going off of that, I mean, that Corpus Christi, 2 tickets to the Big Dance. How do you deal with the pressure of March of when you're in that conference tournament and it's, if you want your season to continue, you have to win that league title?
Yeah, I mean, I always approach it the same. I mean, you got to take every game, right? I mean, now you make some decisions based upon playing 2 or 3 games in a row, maybe some decisions in terms of substitutions, but for the most part, it's the same stuff. The game ends and you focus on the next opponent. So I've never really gotten too high or too low with any of that. I think that it's important as the head coach or the leader of any organization that you're very level, and I'm typically pretty level unless we get beat bad or something, then I might lose my mind. But I try to be the same guy I am every single day with those guys so that they don't see me as a roller coaster, because it's hard enough for 18 to 23-year-old guys to stay on a level playing field.
Now, I know you said that obviously a little bit, no midweek game this week, just kind of get back in the training room and stuff like that, but obviously we're getting to the point of the season where you can't take your foot off the gas, so you're going to be back in the gym and getting shots up and stuff like that. Just how important is it just to really stay focused for what is kind of a long week since we're used to those midweek games?
Sure. I mean, nothing will change. I mean, we'll scale practice back maybe a little bit, maybe an extra day off, but nothing will change. I mean, we'll still get in the gym every single day and get our 300 club in, and we'll still watch our film, and we'll still do everything, as normal. So we won't change anything that we do per se. The one thing that we will focus on a lot this week is academics, because we've traveled a little bit, and so you get behind, and it's that time of the semester where you're about 6 weeks in, and professors start giving tests and papers and all that. So we need to focus on that and try to get ahead so that when we go to Huntsville, that you're not having to deal with all that kind of stuff.
One guy that I think I wanted to kind of get your evaluation of is Enoch. Kind of a guy that I would think of as steady all year, but it really seems like he's elevated his production a little bit here recently.
You know what? I was so happy for him to make a couple three-pointers here over the last 2-3 games, because he spends a lot of time in the gym. He shoots a good percentage in practice. And for whatever reason, when the season started, he just went 0 for, right? Or 1 for 12, whatever that number was. And, he never strayed from the course. He stayed with shooting before or after practice. He stayed with his routine of getting better every day. And, now he's starting to get a little more confident in his three-point shooting ability. He's a good three-point shooter. They just didn't go in for whatever reason. So, no, I'm extremely happy, and he gives us another dimension. I mean, he rebounded the ball really well on Saturday, and I thought he did a good job getting the ball to the basket, especially at times where maybe we were shooting a couple too many threes. He got the ball to the rim and scored layups and got fouled and then made his free throws. So really, really excited for him to continue to raise his level of play, especially as we go towards the end of the season.